Hello everyone, and Happy New Year. Welcome to episode 1 of Tech Tutorial Tuesday. Last year saw us make a huge shift from gathering and collaborating in physical meeting spaces to virtual ones. While I'm hopeful that 2021 brings us closer to normalcy, UGOC's usage of Zoom will remain high. For that reason, I think it's important to start this series off with a Zoom basics training. Today, I'll be showing you how to set up a meeting, host a meeting, and join a meeting. So with that, let's dive right in. There are a number of different ways to set up Zoom meetings. So what I'm going to show you today is going to be how to set up a Zoom meeting directly through the Zoom website. If you've been setting up meetings a different way that you find works well for you, definitely there's no wrong way to do this. Keep doing what you're comfortable with. But for today's training, I'm going to be showing how to do all of this through the Zoom website. So what we're going to want to do first is access the Zoom URL, which is zoom.us. And when we get there, we hit their landing page where we have options of join a meeting, host a meeting, and sign in. The first thing we're going to want to do today is sign in and enter our Zoom credentials. Once we're in, we'll hit our profile page, which shows everything related to our profile. And if we look at the options on the left, we'll see that there's a Meetings tab, which is what we're going to want to access in order to set up a meeting. So when we're here, we'll see all of the meetings I have coming up. We can access the meetings I've had in the past, and we can see my personal room details. So to set up a meeting, we'll want to go back to the Upcoming tab here and navigate over to the Schedule a Meeting button. Once there, we'll see all of the details related to this meeting, and we can adjust and edit as needed. So my topic for today will be Zoom training. The description is optional. But if you want, you can enter something related to your meeting. So for here, I'll do Zoom Basics tutorial. And let's go ahead and set this meeting for right now. So 9:30 a.m. and we'll set the duration to an hour. I'm going to take a second to pause here to touch on duration and the difference between a basic account and a pro account. If you're a basic account user, you'll be limited to 40-minute meetings unless you're only having a one-on-one session. So if you're only meeting with one other person, you can go as long as you want, but as soon as you hit 3 people in a meeting, you'll be limited to 40 minutes. Again, that's with a basic account only. If you have a pro account, you don't have that limitation. Your meeting can go 3, 4, 6 hours if needed. So for those of you that are usually only meeting with one other person or only doing 30-minute meetings, a basic account should do you just fine. And if you find yourself needing a pro account, hosting many meetings over 40 minutes, definitely reach out to your supervisor and see if you can get approval for a pro account. So again, basic account users limited to 40 minutes with 3 or more attendees. Pro account users, no limitation. Time zone, it will generally know where your computer is, so it'll generally set this for you. I am in Eastern Time Zone here in New York, so I'm going to leave that as be. Recurring meeting is a great feature if this is a meeting that you'll be holding on a recurring basis. So if this is a meeting that I have every Monday morning, I can go ahead and set recurring, change it to weekly, repeat the event every week on a Monday, and I can go ahead and set that time here. So this will create a series on your Outlook calendar, which will prevent you from having to do this every single week. So for the training here, it's not going to be recurring. I'm going to leave that checked off. If you want, you can require registration, which will ask all of your invited attendees to log in and sign up for the meeting ahead of time. If they don't do that, they won't be allowed into the meeting room. So if you want to keep the meeting more secure, you can require registration. Just be mindful that it is going to create a little bit more work for your attendees. Meeting ID here is the code that will be required to join the meeting. So Generate Automatically will create a new code every single time. My personal preference is to select Personal Meeting ID. This will keep my meeting room ID exactly the same week after week, meeting after meeting. So if I have a recurring or ongoing meeting with someone that I meet with often, much like a phone number, they can memorize this and they know every time they join my meeting, this is the ID they'll need. For now, let's leave Generate Automatically selected and scroll down further to the security section. So passcode we can either enable or disable. This is another layer of security to your meeting. I like to have passcode enabled. This way, when someone calls in, there's no chance that they've found your link accidentally. It's someone who was actually invited, and they'll be asked to go ahead and enter this passcode. Waiting room, as many of you probably know, this will not let you join the meeting until the host is there and lets you in. So I like to have this selected. Again, another layer of security to your meeting and will prevent unwanted guests from joining accidentally. The video section here is totally personal preference. I always leave mine off and off for everyone. I don't want anyone to feel like they're mandated to have video on. While I certainly appreciate people to have video on when they join my meetings, I want them to make that decision for themselves. So I don't set video to be automatic. I leave it with the pre-selects of off here. Audio, this gives your attendees the option of joining by telephone or computer audio, or both. I always leave both selected. Giving people the most options increases the likelihood that they join and participate in your meeting. And then we get down to the last section here, which is meeting options. So I'll run through these really quick, and then when it's time to set up your meeting, you make the choices that are best for you. So allow participants to join anytime. This will allow someone to join your meeting hours or even days in advance if they want to. I usually do not see a good reason to have this selected, so I almost always leave this blank. In fact, I think I can say with confidence that I've never checked off this box. So if it were up to me, I would leave this blank every single time. Mute participants upon entry. I'm sure, as you can guess, this will automatically bring everyone into the meeting on mute. If this is a large meeting, 10, 15, 20 people, and you don't want all of the chit-chat when people join your meeting, go ahead and select this one. Of course, they can unmute themselves, or you can unmute them when it's time to actually kick off the meeting, but this will prevent people from joining with dogs barking in the background, someone in the car with wind blowing. By selecting this, you won't hear all of that when they join the meeting. Require authentication will require users to log into Zoom before they can join your meeting. So again, this is a nice security feature. You won't have any random stragglers that aren't signed into Zoom joining your meeting. Automatically record meeting is a great option. When you select it, it gives you two different additional options here. You can either record the meeting to your computer, or you can record it directly into the cloud in Zoom. So this will give you access to your recording. You can then send it out to the participants, and everyone can review the meeting notes as far into the future as they need. And then the last one here, another one I never personally selected myself, but you can approve or block entry from various regions of the world. So if for some reason you wanted to block people that are in the United States from joining, you can do that here. Or the way it's selected now, it would only allow people from the United States, and then if we wanted to do block, we can select block and then pick our blocked locations. So again, a feature you probably won't be using that often, but it is there. And then the last thing here before our meeting creation is alternative hosts. So if you know this is a shared meeting that someone else will be hosting alongside with you, you can type in their email address here. It is important to note that that person has to have the same level of access that you do. So if you're a basic user, you can only select basic user alternative hosts. And more importantly, if you're a pro user, you cannot make a basic user an alternative host. So another great feature if you know someone else will be helping you host the meeting. So once you have everything set, you can go ahead and save your meeting. And then it'll take you to this page here where you can generate your calendar invite. So at UGOC, we all use Outlook Calendar. So when we get here, we'll want to just go ahead and click Outlook, and it'll automatically download a calendar invite for us. And as you can see, this is formatted exactly like an Outlook calendar invite would be, and it acts exactly the same way. So from here, you can go to Scheduling Assistant, you can type in whoever else you need. So for this training, I will add my personal email address, add it here, and I will send the invite out. And just like that, we've gone ahead and scheduled a Zoom meeting. If we go back to our Meetings tab, we'll see that our meeting is here. And when it's time to go, we just come here and select Start. Now let's take a look at hosting your meeting. So as you can see here, I've kicked my meeting off. I'm in it, my test user is in it, and along the bottom here, I have all of my host controls. So let's start all the way on the left and work our way down. So the first one here is Join Audio. I haven't yet connected to audio to this meeting, but if I wanted to, all I have to do is hit Join. That pops up a screen here with a couple of options. I can either join using my computer audio, which is typically what I do, or if you rather call in by phone, you can just click this phone call screen and it'll give you a list of numbers that you can dial, along with the meeting ID, of course, and the participant ID. For now, I will leave that off. The next tab here is the Start Video option. If I wanted to turn on the video feed for myself, I would do it here. Let me go ahead and turn on video for my test user so we can see how that starts to look in the screen. So there's my test user there. I'm working off the second computer here as the test, which is why the angle is funny, but I can go ahead and look at that computer and everyone in the meeting will see me. So I'll turn that off for the time being as well. The security option here, this will give you various security options. If you set your meeting up correctly, you won't have to take any action here. But you know, if you decided you want to enable a waiting room, you can do that here. If you want to hide people's profile pictures, again, you could do that here, and various other security options here as well. One to keep in mind, in the off chance that someone incorrectly joins your meeting, you can go ahead and remove that participant by selecting this. So it'll pick up everybody in your meeting, and then you see we have a red remove option next to all of the users that aren't yourself, and you can go ahead and boot them from the meeting that way. Next is your participants button. If you select this, you will get a pop-up of all the participants in your meeting on the right-hand side here. And from here you have various options. So I can click more here, I can ask my user to start their video, I can make them the host, and I can give them a few other permissions here as well. Of course, if you have 10, 15, 20 people in here, they all would show up here and you'd be able to take that set of actions against them, any or all of them. If you've kicked off your meeting and you realized you forgot to invite someone, no problem. By clicking this little arrow here, you can select invite. I see all of my Zoom contacts in here, so I can invite them directly from this screen, or I can copy the invite link and paste it to them in email or in Skype, or I can do the entire invitation and then paste it into email, Skype, wherever I'm communicating with them as well. I can also go ahead and just generate an email from here. So if I click the email tab and then default email, it would pop up an Outlook screen that has the same screen that I showed you earlier when we were setting up the meeting, and we can send it out that way as well. Directly in the center here is a feature I like to use a lot. It's chat. So if I click chat, we get a chat pop-up window here. And during the meeting, if I need to or if I want to, I can go ahead and send messages. I can also attach files if I need to. So if we're talking about a document that not everyone has, I can go ahead and select a file from my computer or from these other sources and send it out that way. A neat feature that I use a lot is modifying from everyone to specific people. So if we're meeting with outside parties and I need to ask someone internally a quick question, I could say, hey, where's that file again? Or what page are we looking at? And that person can respond to me directly, and our outside parties and users won't see that communication going on in the background. So if you are doing it that way and switching back and forth, just be mindful what option you're on. You don't want to mistakenly send a message to everyone thinking you're only sending a private message to somebody you're close with out there. I'll skip over share screen for a second here. That's a big one, so I'll do that one last. The record button, of course, is going to record the meeting. So similar to the options we saw when we were setting up the meeting, I can either record directly on this computer or record to the cloud. Once I select a record option, you'll see in the top left here, we get the red flashing record indicator, and it tells you that we're recording. So at any time I can either pause the recording or end the recording. I'm going to go ahead and end this recording now. And when this meeting is over, that'll be ready for me on my computer or in the cloud, depending on what option I selected. The reactions option here, this is basically emojis for Zoom. So if someone said something you agree with, you can go ahead and give them a thumbs up. If someone said something hysterical, go ahead and do crying, laughing face. And if you're shocked, you can do this little open mouth emoji as well. So those are quick little emojis used the same way you would on your phone. If an emoji will do the trick instead of giving the whole statement, definitely make use of those. It lets people know that you're paying attention, that you agree with what they're saying. And when I'm the host of a meeting, I appreciate when people give me those little indicators. So definitely shoot those across in your meetings. And then jumping back over to share screen, the big option here, let's go ahead and select this. So when you select share screen, it'll pull up all of the various windows that you have on your computer. So I want to touch on a few things here. If you select any of the screen options here, regardless of what you have on that screen, it'll be shared. So for example, if I select screen 1 and I'm sharing the screen and I'm jumping from Chrome to Outlook to Calculator to Excel, regardless of the application that I am in, that will be shared with the group. However, if I select a unique application from down here, so if I only share my Skype screen, it doesn't matter what other programs I open in that window, my participants will only see the Skype screen. So that's a huge distinction that you want to keep in mind when you're sharing your screen, depending on what you have going on, the privacy settings you want related to the screen share. Be mindful of if you're sharing the entire screen or if you're just sharing one single program. You can also go ahead and share what's called the Whiteboard, which is a great feature, and that's what I'm going to share for this example here. So that pops up, as you can see, a whiteboard here, and I'll drag my controls back over. So from here, we can go ahead and doodle. We can do things like create text. We can go ahead and draw, like I just showed you. Let me select line, free draw. We can stamp, so if we need to put a heart for some reason, or a question mark, we can do that. We can spotlight, either by having this red cursor follow us around, or we can put arrows. We can erase anything we've entered, and then we have some format, undo, and redo options here. So with a blank whiteboard, you're probably wondering, how are these useful? But imagine that you're sharing a document and you're looking for collaboration from your list of users. They can go ahead and give you feedback, either with asking what some points are, they can tell you they agree with those points, and they can call out things with arrows while you're discussing those. We can go ahead and clear all of that. We can go ahead and do some more options here. And then at the end of the meeting, if you're really satisfied with what's been shared and what's been talked about, you can go ahead and save that actually to your computer. And then at the end of the meeting, you can share that out with the participants if you want. You can reference that document. So there's a lot of potential here for really great collaboration and really great teamwork. So this is an option I encourage you all to use when you're in your Zoom meetings. This helps the meeting feel more personal and like everyone's in the room together discussing the meeting topics. So I'll go ahead and stop my share here, and that'll bring me right back to my Zoom meeting here. And then as soon as the meeting is over, all we have to do is click end, and we can either end the meeting for all, or you can select to leave the meeting. So if you select to leave the meeting yourself, but the meeting has to run over, this will give you a list of hosts that you can select, and you can go ahead and assign that person as the host and leave the meeting. But for now, I'm going to end the meeting for all. And that's an overview of hosting a Zoom meeting. And now the third and final part of this training will be joining a meeting and a few actions that you can take as a participant in a meeting. So I'm sure everyone knows how to join a Zoom meeting by using the link in an email. So for today, I'm going to show you how to join a different way. Again, we're going to kick this off by going to the Zoom website, zoom.us. And as I mentioned earlier, there's an option on their landing page to join a meeting. So if you recall, towards the beginning of this meeting, when I was going over how to set up your own meeting, you remember I referred to a personal meeting ID that you can keep using from meeting to meeting. So this is the exact spot where that comes in handy. I know in this case, the meeting ID of the meeting I'm trying to join, so I just enter that here. And once that's in there, all I have to do is click join. I'll open my Zoom meeting and let it get fired up here, and here I am. So I didn't have to open any emails, I didn't have to click anything. My name is showing up twice because I'm logged in from 2 different computers for this example, but here it is. So I'm going to go back to my other screen here and start sharing my video so I can show you a few neat features. So on the top here, I can click the 3 dots and I can chat with this person, kick that off directly from here. As I showed you earlier, you can either do it to everyone or to one specific person. And if I turn off my video and I select this, I see a new option that says hide non-video participants. And if I click that, the other user goes completely away. So this is very helpful if you're in a meeting again with 20 or 25 people, only a handful of them are showing video. You can go ahead and hide all of the non-video participants so that you can better engage with the people who are showing their video. I can go up here to view and I can show those people again. I can also go into speaker view, which will highlight the person who was speaking on the screen and block out everyone else. And the option I was in before was gallery view. Aside from that, my options at the bottom of the screen are exactly the same as when I was hosting a video, so I can do those same emoji reactions, I can request to share my screen, I can chat, I can see who's in the meeting, so on and so forth. So I hope this was helpful to everyone. Shoot me an email, let me know if you have any questions or if there's anything I can do moving forward to make this more helpful. Okay, I'll talk to everyone later.